Okay, I figured out my key to success. Now I'm locked in. I learned how to open doors like a locksmith.
Welcome back. You're now locked in with DK and Atwood. I'm Atwood, killer to my left, DK. Here on the mats at the Next Element Academy, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. Well, I guess by the time you see this, it will be Thanksgiving.
It will be Thanksgiving. You'll be watching this while you're in a turkey coma.
Yeah.
Hopefully. It's 7 o'clock. Maybe a little bit of football's on in the background. You're on the recliner, the couch, or the bed, or the floor, or the Big Joe. Just hanging out, scrolling on your phone. You come across, I need to watch Locked In with DK and Atwood right now and hear what they're talking about. So, happy Thanksgiving.
That
was good.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I'm impressed.
That was nice, right? It was like I was late.
It's almost like you practiced it.
It sounds like I was late night.
Oh, yeah.
Talk show with DK and Atwood.
Listen, man, we already got people with feet fetishes. We don't need to.
They're going to have me calling and, hey, man, can you send
now it's
me a
ASMR?
voicemail? ASMR? What's ASMR?
You don't know what ASMR is?
No.
Wow. Okay. So ASMR is like when people they'll either talk real low like this.
Huh?
Yeah, they'll do that. Or like I have chewing gum in, they'll be like, and people sit there and listen to it.
Yo, so I know what you're talking about. There's a famous Japanese girl, right, that eats and she chews and
and she'll eat like some crazy shit.
Yeah.
She'll have lobsters that are like this big.
Yeah, dude, I have seen that.
Yeah.
Thing. That's weird that is a thing.
Yeah, there's also people that'll like whisper, like that's like their ASMR. They just talk like this,
Dude,
and people
just
like
think
it.
about that.
I don't get
girl, what you doing?
Yeah.
What's the name of that song? Whisper in your ear.
Oh,
Yin Yang
yeah.
Twins?
Yeah.
Hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear.
I forget the rest of it.
Yeah, I do too. I probably used to mumble. I'd mumble it.
I still do that with songs.
100%.
Does that ever happen? So it normally happens with like Eminem or something. 10 years later, I just now figured out what he said.
Yo,
and I'm
tell
just
me about
making shit up.
Yeah, I
like
get it,
10
man.
years prior to that.
And now I'll be making it a point to point it out.
Yeah.
Point it out that I know the real words.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh.
I'll be doing that in class. I'll be rapping in class. Man, we are going off on a tangent.
All right. Well, it's a good day,
But
man.
Hey, it's a good day. We ain't got nothing but time.
Right.
So I'm drinking coffee, by the way.
And what is it,
Nice
like
latte.
2 p.m.?
It's 2 p.m. It's 1:35.
Okay, 1:35 p.m.
Yeah, this is my second latte of the day.
She created a monster, Megan, whenever she got you
And
that
she
machine.
did, bro. It's better. It saves me $6.50 because you know what?
True.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Here we go.
Leaving the tip. It's like, oh, do you want to leave a tip on this coffee I made? Now I get it. The latte, you need to leave a tip if you get a latte. So that's an extra $1 to your $6.30
Right.
latte. If you get one every day, man, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Over time.
People will probably cringe when I tell them this, but I don't care. I do the sip and save at Circle K. Gas station coffee every morning, bro. Every morning. I pay $7 every 30 days, and that's 30 coffees for $7.
$7 hairs.
Yep.
So you're getting free
after like the first 2 or 3
cups of coffee.
Yeah.
For free.
Yep.
Free.
Every morning, dude. It's right there by my house.
Or
I go
you
there
do-
before I go to the radio station.
Wow, man. Are those now hit or miss? On a scale of 1 to 10, what's hit or miss on the taste scale?
Well, you make it yourself, so it's just according.
Okay.
So they have like cream and sugar and shit like that. They also have like these flavor pumps that you can do that are like, and I'm like flavor pumps. So sometimes I'll get a couple pumps of flavor, you know.
Yeah, you will.
And then sometimes I don't.
Oh, okay.
I'm dialing back on
the bumps of flavor.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you are.
I'm trying to get to where I can drink coffee almost black.
Oh,
You know?
yeah. See, so I was that man. I refused to pay $6 for a coffee at Starbucks. So I go to Starbucks when I'd only because, man, too many times I've been on the road to fights and different things, and dude, I'm getting tired. We got to pull over, get a gas station coffee. Many times I've had Circle K coffees or whatever's available, and it's just been crappy.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what I did?
What?
I'd keep on drinking it. Then it'd give me heartburn and just mess me all up. But anyways, I started drinking some lattes one time on accident, a vanilla latte on accident.
On accident.
On accident. I can't remember how it was, but I was like, ooh, this is tasty. And
My go-to.
So then I'd drink those, but then I got into the nitro cold brew for a little bit. Those things, look how much caffeine are in those bad boys. You won't.
How much?
I mean, it'll say 135, but if you get the grande, the middle size, I think it's 280.
Oh, you're talking about like the single serve bottles. I've gotten them in like the big bottles.
I'm talking about the grande nitro cold brew that you go and you order from Starbucks.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the ones that you can get from the store.
No, like
okay, I got you,
dude. That's a can of 280 milligrams of caffeine, and now a lot of those like bursts where they ghost things, and the other energy drinks are like 300 milligrams of, man.
Yeah.
So it's wild. Like I used to drink like 2 of those monsters a day.
I try not to drink
more
Monster.
than that. I mean, I used to drink 2 of the, the big ones. They had the big gulp screw top can. You hear it go. Man, I'd smash that one, and then I'd go buy another one.
I get all my caffeine from coffee.
Now
I'll drink some soda too.
That's what I do now. That and On It Shroom Tech. I've been taking Shroom Tech so that's like a little secret.
Right on. So yeah, we're coffee connoisseurs. Actually, before we came up with the podcast, we were going to do something with
coffee.
Yeah.
We were going to drink.
We
coffee
thought about all
mats.
kinds of shit. We thought about making our own coffee and calling it like combat coffee. I don't know if I brought that. Maybe we didn't discuss that, but I had that going in my head. All kind of shit. And here we are, locked in.
You are.
But today, I thought it would be a little fun. I didn't come up with this idea, but I came up with this roster of fighters, I guess. So I saw an idea where it was like if you were a promoter and you had this many points to spend, right? It's kind of like a fantasy draft sort of thing. And you were picking fighters that would sell and produce, right? So doesn't necessarily have to be fighters that are, on winning streaks or anything like that, because we know that there's fighters that are on losing streaks that will still sell. People will pay to see them fight. So I came up with this roster of fighters. There's 3 different tiers. Tier 1 is 10, Tier 2 is 6, and Tier 3 is 4. Now I'm gonna have to pick up my phone to look because I just did this last night and I can't remember everybody. So I told you that we have 50 points to spend. So based on, and all these fighters that you see are, just assume they're in their prime, okay? Based on the personalities and the skill sets, you being a promoter, who are you taking?
So if I'm looking at this from a promoter's perspective, man, I mean, if you get the top 4 guys right there, there's 40 points.
Yep.
All those top 4 guys are big time sellers. I mean, you got Ayasanya. I mean, he's a big seller overseas, and in America. John Jones, obviously, just the man. And then Conor McGregor obviously is the ultimate salesman. So you have to put him in that.
Mm-hmm.
Sugar Shane. You know who Sugar Shane Mosley is?
Yeah, boxer.
Yeah. But anyways, so Sugar, I don't know, man. Like it's very tough, but you know the bottom row, you know Nate Diaz, big time seller.
Yeah.
You got Derek Lewis as your only heavyweight on the roster.
Well,
except for John Jones.
Yeah.
But I still look at John Jones as 205.
Mm.
But even though he is in the heavyweight division now. So, I think you have to include a heavyweight in there, which John Jones is your heavyweight. So I would probably go top 4 guys.
Damn, you're taking the whole top row,
Top 4.
Okay.
I take all top 4 guys.
So that's going to give you one from the middle and one from the bottom.
Yes. Yep. And so Colby Covington in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Salesman and performer as well. I would say Khabib, but he just doesn't talk any shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He doesn't promote the fight. He is great, but I mean, he is the best fighter, I think, out of everybody there on this whole entire list.
I would agree with that.
It's Khabib. John Jones is good, but I've never seen somebody just beat the just dog shit out of somebody. Like,
and he hasn't really been tested.
Like Conor McGregor. He beat the dog shit out of Conor McGregor and just pounded the shit out of him.
And the only time I ever saw Khabib like in trouble, what appeared to be in trouble, was when he was fighting Michael Johnson, and Johnson just
rocked him,
stiffed him, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think the GOAT discussion is always up in the air now between John Jones and Khabib.
Yeah. So middle row, I would go Covington, or Khabib, probably.
Pick one though.
I'd probably go with Colby.
All right.
And then number 4 points I would probably spend on. Gosh, man, this one's the tough one. You got so many choices right there. But I mean, I don't know, man. Either Patty or Derek Lewis, and shoot, man, I'm gonna have to go with Derek Lewis.
Derek Lewis?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll sell because of his antics after the fight. And he knocks people up.
And this is just like, this was a hard for me. Like when I first looked at it, I was like, oh yeah, top 4 all day. But then like you're like, okay, I only got 2 choices left. That's what made it hard.
Yeah,
because you're trying to get the most out of your money. You know, Derek Lewis isn't the greatest fighter in the world, but he is, his antics and the way he talks and the way he's just open about his life and himself. And
I think he's either tied or has the most knockouts in UFC.
Yeah,
history,
that as well. Like, I mean, you're knocking out, you're slinging those big mitts into somebody's noggin, man. I mean, with reckless abandon too, you know.
Okay. Well, I got to be honest, man. I didn't think you would go for the whole top row approach.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely did not. Even though all of them are a draw, I went with obviously Conor. You just have to. You have to as a promoter, you have to take him. He's going to sell.
Yeah.
I also took Sugar because Sugar is kind of the same way right now. He's going to sell. Whether people want to see him lose or they want to see him win, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
He's going to sell. Not the best talker.
He's selling the younger crowds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So those are the only 2 I took from the top row. I didn't take Jones because I think everybody just knows what's going to happen already. He's gonna get them down, and he's gonna beat their ass.
He's getting older though, man.
Yeah, but remember, I'm trying to all these guys are in their prime, right?
You're right.
Izzy's a great fighter, but let's be honest, Izzy's had some boring ass fights, and he is, he's a medium talker.
What was that? Did
When he fought Romero,
freaking soccer stadium though in Australia.
Oh, I don't know.
When he came out with that dance whole.
Oh
dance
yeah, that was whenever he fought
Where was
Whitaker,
that at?
right? Yeah, I think that was in New Zealand or Australia. Yeah,
dude. Like,
but also Robert Whitaker too. That's who he was fighting.
Yeah,
and those people, that's where he's from. You know. Now I'm not saying the guy doesn't sell. Obviously he does, but I'm mixing mine up between people who sell and just great fights.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you could be a shit talker, but if all your fights are exciting, they're going to sell. Right? So I'm taking Conor and Sugar first row. That's 20 points. Second row, I feel like you have to take Colby. That would give me 26 points. And I really struggled with, am I taking Max Holloway or Hamzat? Because Holloway is a respectful guy, but he always puts on a great fight. So I went with Hamzat. So I got Colby and Hamzat in the second row. That is 32 points.
Mm-hmm.
And then bottom row, some people are going to hate me for this.
Sean Strickland.
No, that actually he was so I was going to take Tai Tuivasa because even though the dude, I mean, it's always an exciting fight whether he wins or he loses. Yeah. So what I have 32, that's 36 points. And now I'm stuck with one more guy that I pick on the bottom row. And I love all these fighters, but I went with Tai Tuivasa. And considering that all these people in their prime, I had to go with Nate Diaz. So I feel like I got 6 fighters out of that are all pretty solid.
Yeah.
And anybody that's watching, feel free to put in the comments who you would take. But remember, you only have 50 points. So you got
6 fighters, and then I also got 6 fighters.
Yeah, because you took the whole top tier, and then 2 from, or no, 1 from the middle.
1 from,
and 1 from the bottom. Now, your fighters, since you went all top tier, I mean, they'd probably sell more. You probably did a better job picking than I did. But
let's say you put on a Sugar and Conor fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put on a John Jones and Adesanya fight.
Mm-hmm. That'd be huge.
Oh, my God.
That would be huge. Yeah, imagine Sugar
or John
coming
Jones
up to,
and Derek Lewis.
Imagine Sugar coming up to featherweight, and then I don't even know if Conor could get back down to featherweight now. Probably not.
Yeah, definitely not.
Sugar would have to come up to 55.
Thick.
And then 55, Sugar wouldn't be as big as he is in bantam, obviously.
Or as fast.
Right,
Definitely
or as fast.
Yeah. And that's what I think your guys are going to, what people are going to see with Conor.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be as fast or as smooth or as fluid. And now things can change. But he blew up, man, like a balloon. Like his muscles like a balloon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude's just walking around looking Jack City. And it probably feels good, too.
I bet he does.
Pumping out. How many kids he got now? He's got 3 kids?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think he's got 2 boys and a girl.
2 boys and 1 girl?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, anyways.
One thing I want to do in the future is...
but, he's in his prime. If we're talking about it in his prime.
Oh, yeah, in his prime. Yeah.
But nowadays, he's... To see him come back and fight, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, especially if he fights Chandler.
Yeah.
I think Chandler I don't think it's going to be good for Conor. But then again, maybe because Chandler is probably going to stand with him. Chandler is stubborn in that way. He just wants to put on a show. I don't think he necessarily cares about himself.
Yeah.
Puts the fans first, that's admirable, I guess, from a fan's perspective, but maybe dumb from a fighter's perspective. I don't know. But, with UFC 300 coming up next year, before that, I want us to put together our own card, our own event, right? We'll go undercard up to the top, main card and then main event and stuff like that. and see who people think the better fight card would be, because that'd be fun too.
That would be fun.
Mix and matching, but it would have to be realistic too, right? Like, prelims would have to be. You can't just
prelim fighters can't book superstars.
Right.
Yeah,
and they could even be
gonna have to have a budget.
Yeah, that'd be cool too. Add in a budget kind of like that,
budget.
but yeah, that'd be cool. It would be the hardest part of that would be deciding what every fighter is worth. Because, Cody Garbrandt could be a undercard prelim fighter now. In fact, he might be. But at one time, the guy was the champion, like 4 years ago, maybe, something like that.
That's hard to believe, man. But, it's what happens, man. The mighty eventually fall.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Conor has kept so much, luster to his name. He'll never be an undercard fighter, I don't think.
No, he'll retire before he gets to that point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think that'd be something cool to do. And also, whenever we get to, let's say, 500 subs, I brought this up before, and you're like, no, I'm not doing that. But I think we should just fucking do it, and that is shot collar trivia.
Shot collar.
We don't have to put it on our necks. You don't have to put it on your neck, and we'll come up with questions for one another.
Wow.
And we'll have
we can
categories.
put it around our wrist or something.
Or ankle. Wrist. Yeah. But then we'll come up with questions like different tiers, like easy, medium, hard for one another.
Okay.
And we can do that, and we'll see how that goes. If that does good, I think it'd be cool one day to do like a live and have people ask us questions.
Yeah.
And then have somebody behind the camera and we get them wrong.
Wow.
I think that'll be fun.
I think that will be fun too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely be interesting.
Turn up the wattage too.
Yeah. Wow. I'll have to brush up on my trivia. All I know is history.
History. Okay.
Trivia with combat sports.
Oh, I thought you were talking about regular history. I was about to hit you with a question.
Oh, well. I did test out of, what a CLEP test is? So it's where you can test out of your course. So when I was in the Air Force, you'd go do a CLEP test and you'd get 6 credit for your social studies so I tested out of history of Vietnam. Don't ask me anything now. Because, dude, I studied for that test.
Yeah.
I just studied all the history of Vietnam. And the reason I did the history of Vietnam so I could test out of that class, I just went and tested it. Boom, I got 6 college courses credit to go towards my degree.
Right.
And for community college of the Air Force. Anyways, so I picked that because the Vietnam War was only a certain period of time. It wasn't like I got to study for hundreds of years. So if I did history of America, that's too long for me to study, too much stuff to go on, and I have to study. But I just hit the main meat and potatoes of the Vietnam War, and I just constantly just read through different things of the Vietnam War for a month before I had that test. And we went and took the test. 6 college credits right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
What year did we go to the moon?
I have no clue.
Do you believe we went to the moon?
Yeah. Okay. Is it 69?
Yeah. The only reason I know that is because there was an old show called Even Stevens on the Disney Channel, and they did a whole episode of a musical on that.
So my uncle, he's dead now, and he had, my aunt still has this. He has the newspaper from New York Times, Man on the Moon, so that when the printed out came after we got or walked on the moon, and it's a picture of a footprint or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty neat.
So tell me, when it comes to the moon, what makes you think we went there?
I don't know, man. I just think we did, man. I just feel like, I don't know, man. There's so much stuff I watch now when do with NASA, what's the Webb telescope that's on Netflix now? It's a documentary thing.
I don't know.
and it's talking about the Webb telescope, which can see all the way back to the beginning of time, which is weird. It's weird, right? So, but what if you're trying to look, through the solar system and every other solar systems is out there, there's like thousands of other solar systems, right?
Allegedly.
Okay. So, I mean, I've seen pictures from the Hubble telescope.
I bet you have.
That the government provided us.
Uh-huh.
So I know there's. Anyways, man. So it'll look back, and so what it's saying is, the Hubble telescope can only see so far because of millions of light years, right? Mm-hmm. So, because whatever is here has taken that many millions of years to get to us.
Right.
So if they can see even further, they can see almost pretty much like it's back in time, almost like. So if this is far as 15,000 million years ago, they can look this far, and that's like 30 million years ago, and then so on and so forth, right?
That's
so it's almost like, so they're trying to see the Big Bang. They're trying to see how the Big Bang and what the universe looked like however many years ago.
Right.
And see if they can figure out what created. What if they just saw a big picture of a man and with a big giant beard and a staff, and he's like striking his.
What are they talking? Never mind, I'm not gonna say that.
God creating.
That would be.
How cool would
they
that
never
be?
tell us.
Yeah, they never tell us.
Yeah.
But they sent his picture back, and it's a dude with it's like Zeus.
Me personally, I'm not convinced we went to the moon.
Was that?
I think that it would have been at the time
a little bit too ahead of our time.
Not necessarily that. I just know that back then there was a race, right, to get to the moon, and if everyone else thinks and they're convinced that we went there, I mean, that draws a certain level of fear, right?
We've been to the moon a couple times, though, right?
Who, us?
Yeah.
I was under the impression we went to the moon and then we never went back.
Oh.
Which is another
But we
weird
sent
thing.
rovers to the moon.
Allegedly.
Oh.
You know? That's, and I'm not saying we haven't sent rovers to the moon. I just don't. Back then, man, it was the space race, right? What was it? China, Russia, us.
So we've had 5. So there's been 6 landings total.
And when's the last one?
So 1969 was the first
Oh,
one.
it was the first. Okay.
Let's see. So.
And also think about the Van Allen radiation belt with all that too. You know, getting through that.
Man.
Because the Russians, I think the first time that somebody went to space, I could be wrong on this.
The Russians are like experts.
Right, but I want to say they sent a dog in a space thing,
And they
or
killed
monkeys.
them? Monkeys.
And it was like the lost cosmonauts or something is what they call them, and they
Yeah,
had
I
audio
remember
of
that
them
story.
burning alive going through the radiation.
Oh wow. But maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't have the right suits and the right shell on the.
Could be, man.
spaceship.
Could be. But when's the last time you heard of anybody landing on the moon like a person?
You're right.
I haven't. I don't know, man. I just feel like if we did it back in 1969, and maybe we are there, and they just never told anybody. I don't fucking know.
Maybe aliens told us to stop messing around on the moon.
Who knows, dude? But I do think that like people are onto
China
something when they talk about filming it in pools and things like that.
I heard China just landed on the dark side of the moon. They just landed a rover or something. First time something's been on the dark side of the moon.
Maybe.
They said there's structures.
I bet it's cold as fuck.
Things that look like structures that were built over there.
Wouldn't,
Guys, make comments if you
wouldn't that be crazy?
I'm not joking. Megan told me about this.
Really?
She saw something about it. It's like things that look like in a perfect rectangle that used to be a structure. It looks like only thing it could have been was a structure. You know, could you imagine aliens been just like camping out on the dark side of the moon? Just like, and they just come around the outside dark side of the moon and just roll down to Earth for a little bit, check it out. We're going back to the dark side of the moon. And they go inside the moon. They get you know.
Yeah.
They live inside the moon.
Kind of like that. What is it? What is the theory of the inner Earth thing? Like Anunnaki that live or something like that live in the center of the Earth?
Oh, I have no clue about that.
Have you ever heard of Admiral Byrd?
Who's Admiral Byrd?
I want to say Admiral. Is that only in the Navy? Admirals?
Yes.
Okay, so he must have been in the Navy. He was a pilot. And he went on some expedition in Antarctica.
Okay.
You've heard of this?
I have.
Yeah.
They never found him?
No, he came back and he told the story of like they were flying and I guess they saw like a big opening and there was like vegetation. It was green and shit.
Right.
And then I don't know if they flew down in it or he said that something like pulled them in it and there was like people down there, like a civilization, all kind of shit. And he came back and he talked about it. He went on a couple news, press tours or whatever. And then like I forget how he died, but then he just like quit talking about it all of a sudden. It was weird. Just one of those things. Huh?
Conspiracy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just what it's transformed into, is a conspiracy. Same as the moon landing. If you think about it though, right? Back then, it would have been a smart thing to do, to fake it, to really make people believe that we went there.
Yeah, and you didn't have the capabilities you have now to test for fake.
Right,
things,
yeah, absolutely.
Right,
because then all the other nations who, it was a power race too. They're like, oh shit, these guys went to the moon. Like they got some technology.
They own their shit all the way from 1776.
Yeah. And then it draws a level of fear, because they don't want to fuck with somebody who's more advanced.
But isn't it so crazy how America's so young? If we think about countries and we think about all the other major countries in the world, all the other ones are really a whole lot older than us.
Dude, you've been to Italy. You've seen it firsthand, right? Like, I went to England, and you see buildings that are just 10 times as old as this country.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Yeah, like, when I went to Italy, we went to a place called Bergamo, and it was, there was, like, the walls built around, like a big giant just to protect the inner city. It was called the Old City, and they had gates you could go through and everything, and now they don't block them off at 9 o'clock, but they ring the bells that they're closing the gates. And that's just a thing that they do now. And like up at the Old City, like all the restaurants are closed really early. It was very cool, but they didn't like Americans.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that you had trouble like eating at a restaurant and
getting food.
Yeah.
We were downstairs, and I think we've talked about it on this podcast.
I think we did. Yeah, one of the early episodes.
Yeah. And which was weird, man, because like I had cut weight, just and not a whole lot, but I was hungry. I was hungry, man, because we got there on that Friday morning, and then I cut weight that Saturday, and then we had to fight on Sunday. So I was like, I had to eat. Yeah.
And then couldn't get no food.
Couldn't get no food for the Americans, man. Nobody wanted service. And then you go to a grocery store, man. The grocery stores were wild. They'd have goat heads, like cut in half, splayed open, wrapped in, like you go and get a steak. It's get wrapped in that cellophane on the styrofoam. That's what it would be like. But it's split open so you could see the brains, the tongue. So think of my head split in half. Tongue and everything. You see everything on the inside that way and the inside that way.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, there would be, I was just like, what is this right here? You're just walking down the meat aisle.
How do you even cook that shit?
Yeah. And then, the only cheese there was
cheese.
mozzarella and Parmesan.
They love cheese. I love cheese. Shit. Dude, I'm looking forward till tomorrow, which when you're watching this is Thanksgiving. And by the time you're watching this,
you'll be thankful for
I'm going to be fat because my girlfriend is Italian and I'm going to her parents' house and I can't
baked
wait.
ziti, bro.
Dude, it's going to be lasagna.
Is no baked ziti, man?
I don't know. She said that her mom every year she cooks lasagna. I think they do like turkey and stuff like that as well. But
when I was in Jersey, I went to some Italian little things. Little get-togethers. Always baked ziti.
Really?
Always baked ziti.
And
everybody
like
had
courses.
Their own different one, and I loved them all. I love baked ziti, man. I like a meatier baked ziti. But I also like it saucy. I don't like it too tangy saucy. I like it nice, smooth. Man.
Yeah. It's going to be a mixture.
And they call it a sauce, too.
Yeah. Well,
or a gravy.
Yeah, that's it. Like red gravy.
Sure
I brought up Alfredo to my girlfriend, and she goes, "We don't eat that shit." Yeah. I was like, "What? You don't like Alfredo?" She's like, "Nah."
Do they call it gravy? They call it gravy?
Yeah.
They call it gravy?
Like red sauce or...
They call it red gravy or just
well,
gravy?
I think they call, different things like... Depending on where you're from in Italy, they'll call it something different.
Gotcha.
But her mom is German and her dad is like Italian, so they have like a mixture of stuff there. Like apparently her mom makes something called Stollen, and it's like a bread with like some sort of like shit in the middle. I don't know. I forget what it's called.
It's like
but it's really good.
It's a dessert.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
I'm stoked for tomorrow. I don't know. I was gonna fast leading up to it, but I think it might just be better if I fast.
Like the Dana
after.
White fast.
Oh no, 86 hours? Yeah, I can't do that. Fuck that, dude.
I'd like to do that.
Why don't you give it a shot?
Dude, it says a 70% decrease in cancer or something like that.
Maybe that'd be good to do like once a year or something.
Yeah.
But Dana's been doing it often. He said he saw some doctor who could like take his blood samples and tell him when he was going to die.
That guy was on Joe Rogan.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. I can't remember his name.
I can't either, but Dana White said that the doctor took his blood sample and told him he had like 10 years and 4 months to live or some shit.
Yeah. Let me look this guy's name up so I'm not...
Do you believe that?
I think he was able to look at his blood and see some things, and he talks about it in the podcast. And I was listening to it a little bit the other day. The guy's name is Gary Brecka, and Gary is a human biologist and co-founder of 10X Health System. And so what he does is he tests your blood and different things like that. Well, so he can kind of figure out heart disease, cardiovascular disease, because there's certain little markers in your blood that he can figure out, and it's more 44% chance that you got this thing happening to you if you have.
That's interesting.
So Dana had some high blood pressure and shit like that, and which was causing him to age and be red and shit like that.
I just thought it was because he was an alcoholic.
Might be.
I'm being honest, dude. Whenever I see people that are like their faces are red, I just assume, which is probably a bad thing to do.
It's usually they might be an alcoholic, but it's also they might have high blood pressure or something like that, or cardiac something to do with their blood pressure stuff. So he can see if you got something going on with your body if it doesn't like make the transition over if your body has a deficiency, like making this transition for a certain thing he talks about in the podcast, but it can cause you to have high blood pressure or different things like that. So so
I mean, listen, there's got to be some truth to it, because you look at Dana White now versus like 2 years ago, and it's night and day. He probably did steroids at some point.
Oh yeah.
Kind of reminds me of the villain from the Marvel series that always wears the suit, the bald head. I forget his name. Anyway, one thing that I did want to talk about today we'll talk about this quickly before we head out. Bellator and PFL. It happened.
It happened, and I saw they're primarily going to start transitioning Bellator mainly to overseas.
That's what I saw too.
Yeah.
Which is weird, I guess, to me. Like, are they still going? Is Bellator still going to have the name Bellator just under the PFL umbrella, or is it all going to be PFL?
Yeah.
And they're going to try to, I guess, to give one championship some competition.
Probably give PFL the primarily. It's going to be UFC and PFL.
Yeah.
I think that's what they want. They want to be that. They don't want to be third in line. Now they're second in line after that. Which is unreal, man. PFL must have some serious backers. Dude.
Oh, yeah.
I know Ray Seafood doesn't.
Who?
Ray Seafood in that. What's the owner's name?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, Ray Seafood.
But, I mean, they're following the same blueprint that the UFC has done. The UFC bought Pride. Then they bought Strikeforce. Then they bought WEC. You know, just monopolizing one promotion at a time.
SEFO. Ray Sefo.
And he's the owner of the PFL?
Yep. Former New Zealand fight promoter, retired kickboxer and mixed martial artist, and of Samoan descent. He was the K1 World Prix Grand Champion, Grand Prix 2000 runner-up, 6-time Muay Thai World Champion, as an 8-time K1 World Grand Prix finalist. Yep. So in kickboxing, he's fought Mark Hunt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But anyways, he's the owner of PFL. Yeah. He fought MMA, went 4-2.
Didn't Bellator buy Strikeforce back in the day, and then like UFC bought it from Bellator or some shit? I don't know why, because who's the guy?
UFC bought Strikeforce.
Right, but who is the? I don't want to forget his name.
Oh, the former president of Strikeforce
went to Bellator.
Yeah, now he bought Bellator.
Oh,
so he sold Sherdog, or not Sherdog,
Strikeforce, and then bought Bellator, and now he's
the president now. I think he's got some backers and stuff like that, but he's like the president, kind of like Dana. Right, like Dana White is just the president. He's not really the owner of UFC.
Right. I'm sure he has ownership, but yeah.
He's the face of UFC.
And then the Fertitas, I mean, they were the ones who were buying everything back then.
Yeah.
They were billionaires.
Yeah, but I don't think they're in it no more.
No. They sold it a couple years back for $4.2 billion?
I don't know, man. I don't know. They got it that's good.
The Fertitas bought the UFC for like $1 million or something like that.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is random, but a while back I used to play like Xbox Live with this dude I met on there years and years ago. His mom used to date the dude that owned the UFC and sold it.
Wow.
So he said that she has pictures of her before it was sold. With all the fighters of the early days, like the Tank Abbotts and Dan Severns and all those guys, and that after the guy had sold it, that every now and then they would go to an event, and he was like little, and he'd be like up in a box or just in. He said they would never sit like floor level. They would always.
Man, floor is not all what it's.
You're paying a shit ton of money. The only thing that's good about it is you might be, if you pay for the really good seats, you might be next to a couple fighters. But other than that, you're looking up through the cage.
Nothing.
When people stand up, it's not like theater seating. You can't
see. Man, I like being kind of mid-level, or maybe just a little bit, dude. Or just a little bit up, so I can look down into the ring.
Yep.
I've been floor level for one UFC fight, and I've been floor for Triple G at the Madison Square Garden.
I remember you telling me that story. Yeah.
That was sick. Yeah,
I was floor level in Jacksonville for Volkanovski and the Zombie, Gilbert Burns, and Hamzat.
Wow,
it was all right, dude. Yeah. I thought the view was better whenever I saw or sat pretty high up in Atlanta for the Israel Adesanya, Kelvin Gastelum, and Max
Really?
Holloway, Dustin
Because you
Poirier.
end up watching the screen anyway.
I mean, you could see everything, dude.
Well, you just end up watching the screen. And then you'll look down a little bit and kind of see what's going on. And then you watch the screen so you can get a better view.
Yeah.
Like,
And then you ask yourself, why the fuck did I just pay $60?
Well, it's the energy.
$60.
It's the energy,
That is
dude.
something that you cannot quite describe, dude.
Oh,
Yeah. Especially whenever Bruce Buffer does his catchphrase.
Yeah, dude.
Man, that whole place just goes nuts.
Here's what I like. I like Baba O'Reilly that plays Teenage Wasteland.
I know the song, but
So as they're getting ready to go into the live portion of the UFC or the main card, they'll drop this little montage up on the screen, up on the big screen. Well, it used to be Baba O'Reilly's Teenage Wasteland, but they start out with like some pictures and videos and stuff like that of the old UFC as it's growing and like the superstars and GSP and Matt Hughes and like Hoist Gracie from the very beginning, right? And so it's running through this little montage on this big screen, and it's playing Baba O'Reilly's Teenage Wasteland. As soon as Teenage Wasteland drops, man, it's just like it sends chills down me. That's probably one of the coolest. So look it up on YouTube if you can. It's it's a cool. I don't know if they have the Baba O'Reilly montage or whatever, but man, going to watch that when you're at a live UFC event, like that's like the fights are about to happen,
right?
And I want to be in my seat right then. It's just so I can see that moment right there. Yeah,
that'd be cool to do one day, man. Maybe when they come back to Charlotte. I don't think they'll ever come back to South Carolina.
Well,
again.
they'll probably come Atlanta, Florida, somewhere.
Yeah, they love Jackson. Jacksonville is actually not that bad of a drive to Jacksonville either, or Atlanta.
Yeah, and but it would be cool, But I don't know. It's been a while since they've been on the East Coast.
Well, they were
just in New York.
Well, they came to Charlotte last year, but the reffing was so bad that I don't know if they'll come back. But yeah, it would be cool. I really want to go watch an event in Utah. I think Utah would be a cool place just to visit. Yeah. With the elevation and all that stuff all around, like that'd be cool. I would like to go there.
That would be cool.
One day, I'm going to go to another event, but hopefully I won't have to go too far. But yeah, man, you're watching this. Happy Thanksgiving. We're thankful for you.
Appreciate it.
And, everybody who comments, even if it's a weird one about our feet, we're so appreciative of everybody who watches. If you enjoy content like this, that's related to combat sports. Today we went off on a little bit of a rant, but if you haven't checked out the previous episodes, we'll get fighters on, UFC fighters, guys who were former stars of the sport, guys who did The Ultimate Fighter, guys who were both, plan to have some future, or in the future have some more UFC fighters on. And the bigger we get, the bigger the names that we can convince to come on, to come on here and talk to us.
Yep.
So yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Let DK take us out, and we'll get the fuck out of here.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you all. Again, it's Thanksgiving, so we're appreciative of you. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you haven't done so. We really appreciate you. Appreciate you watching. And have a happy Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much or eat too much. It's up to you. Have a good time.
Yeah. Right about now, I'll probably be
in a coma.
Yeah, be stuffed, and I'm stoked. I can't wait. I'm wearing the elastic waistband
going
and everything.
Uncle Richards.
He's such a good cook.
Man. He's already started prepping, man.
I bet
he's been sending pictures
and he's got his brandy.
Oh yeah, always getting that shot of brandy going.
All right, we'll appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week. Till next time.